this is your first, introductions will be a little strange. I think most people can probably see all the participants, and there's a button up on the top with a couple little people. If you click it, it'll show everyone who's at the meeting. We'll probably ask everyone to mute while we're presenting, but if you have a question while the presentation's going on, there's a little hand up on the top of my screen. I assume it's probably on top of most people's screen, where you can hit that and it'll kind of wave to us. And if that doesn't work for you, you can just, if you have to unmute and ask your question, that's fine. Sometimes we get this many people in the meeting and everyone's not muted, it gets a little carried away. So we've been doing meetings like this twice a year since 2013, and we skipped one or two during COVID. I assume for some of you this might be the first one you've come to, so thanks for joining us. We try to cover topics. We ask the attendees a lot of times for topics they'd like us to try to bring forward. In the past, we've invited MnDOT maintenance and gravel road maintenance experts. We've had some bridge people come in and talk, some seal coating, crack sealing. So any topics you might want more info on in the future, and if we don't know enough about it, we'll find the people that do and invite them to our meeting and have them share with you. We thought this would be a good one to at least try virtually, since there might be some new supervisors and council people with the election that happened not too long ago. And with that, we will jump into the meeting, and I believe your stuff first, Jory.
Yeah, thanks, okay. Rob. We'll see how well our technology works here. Just want to welcome everybody, as Rob said, to our meeting. A little different style right now, but we're hoping we give you what you're looking for. So first on the agenda was just talking about our Where's My Snowplow app. Crow Wing County has had this in the works for a little over a year. We've been working with our IT department and have been working with some outside vendors to try to develop a more user-friendly app, or an app that anyone in the public could log on to and see where our snowplows are at on any given snow event. So you can see in the slide, and can everybody see the slide? Give me the thumbs up if you can see the presentation. I should have asked that earlier. Okay, perfect. And where it stands today, it's still in development and in the works, but it's getting closer to what we are looking for. As you can see on the right-hand side, the red dots with the arrows represent the trucks, and the directional arrows represent which direction they've been traveling in. So at any time, anyone in the county can pull this app up on their computer and see where the trucks are at and where they've plowed already. The arrows will go in different directions. This is just a snapshot from earlier today. I believe the black dots with the white arrows are on the map for 30 minutes to 1 hour. That's been changing back and forth a little bit as IT's working out some bugs and trying to get all of our trucks on at the same time. It does grab a lot of data, and we're still working on that, but we've got a rough map out there that people can see if their road's been plowed, or the route they need to take in the morning has been plowed in both directions, and where the trucks might be in representation to where they're anticipating going. So this is a big project for us. We're hoping that the public likes it. The first couple snow events we had after we launched it around Thanksgiving time, we had around 860 views, and we're hoping as we get some more of the bugs worked out of it and it works a little bit more efficiently, more people are going to log on and use it, and hopefully help plan their day and get them to and from work a little more efficiently based on what they're seeing on their app here. It was designed for residents to be able to view where our trucks are, and it maps out all 15 of our county plow trucks in their current locations within 5 to 10 minutes after they've been picked up on satellite. We have run into some trouble with the satellites not picking them up on a middle of an event where it's really overcast and snowing pretty hard. We have seen some lag there, and we're working on that. The direction of travel we felt is also important, that people can tell which direction a plow is going, and hopefully giving you a little better idea of if the road's been plowed or not. It's pretty easy to use. You can zoom in to a certain location, or you can zoom out to a county-wide view. With the 550 centerline miles of county roads that we have, we know that with 15 trucks, we can't cover everything all at once, but at least wanted to provide some insight of where our trucks are at in relation to when someone might be looking at the map or having to make a travel plan. The one thing is we do not have it in our first or second assessment roads. With those being contracted out, the software and the technology that goes into the trucks is not something we anticipate the contractor supporting this time, and we're just having it on our county trucks for right now.
Jory, I saw a quick hand come up from, I think, James. Did you have a question, James? You'd have to unmute.
I did, but I think you answered it. My question was, how do I get to the app? Where's my snowplow?
On the slide, and the slide's not showing up for me.
Is it?
You can either,
Okay.
the best way is probably to go to our website at Crowwing. It's supposed to be Crowwing, not crowwin.us. And then just type in the search box, where's my plow? And it'll take you to this page here. And you can see both the middle of the page, it says view snowplow map. And that's where you can click on that and it'll bring you to the previous map of where our plows are.
Thank you.
You can also, if you have a copy of the agenda, Cindy highlighted it in blue, and you can either click on that link or highlight that link and right click and hit open link, and it'll take you to the same location. So talking about our 21 maintenance plan, we really concentrate on customer service in the grade 8 in maintenance, and that's snow plowing, crack sealing, spray patching, pothole patching, ditch mowing, smoothing gravel, drainage and ditching, and shouldering. When it comes to snow plowing, we strive for 100% of our goals that we have, with our target A's being having the roads plowed within a certain amount of times, depending on if they're priority 1, 2, or 3. We have from the time the snow event ends until that road is plowed on the priority 1s is 6 hours. On the priority 2s, which is 500 to 5,000 cars a day, that is 8 hours. In our priority 3 roads, which are less than 500 cars a day, is within 10 hours after that snow event ends. And in 2020, we reached that goal 97.5% of the time. A lot of the lags came if the snow event ended sooner than we anticipated. If they said it was going to snow till 3, 4 in the morning, we got our trucks going at 3 and it ended at 11 o'clock or midnight. That already put us behind getting those targets. So we scrambled, and that was the main reason for not achieving 100% in the target A. And our target Bs are having a bare wheel path in each direction. And we strive for 93%. In 2020, we achieved that goal 92.2% of the time. And on that, our priority 1s have to have a bare wheel path in either direction within 18 hours after the storm ending. And our priority 2s have to reach that goal within 48 hours after the event ends. We're looking at doing about 126 miles of crack sealing on Crow Wing County roads in 2021. Another 9.26 miles in our first assessment district. There you can see we've got a number of roads listed. We have one township that is already looking to get in with us on our contract. And we did do a partnership with Ideal Township last summer where the contractor we hired ended up doing their work for them. They piggybacked right in and tied right in with our contract. That was the first ever crack sealing partnership that we had done with a city or a township. We've had others that once we award our county road work, they'll contact the contractor directly and negotiate a price, which has worked pretty favorably for a number of cities and townships I've heard also. Looking at applying about 10,000 gallons of emulsion oil on spray patching projects. This is somewhat controversial method of maintenance, but it does work very well. Usually we take a dip out of the road by creating a hump, which doesn't always excite people. Our work on Wise Road last year was pretty rough. When we got it all said and done, there was some bumps. The road was in a lot worse shape than we anticipated. And now it's starting to smooth out that the plows have been over it a few times. But it will help hold that road together and reduce potholes until we can have it refurbished or a road resurfaced. Looking at applying about 2,500 tons of hot mix asphalt patches this summer. We've got a few areas identified already that we're starting to see fatigue in last fall that we anticipate are probably going to sustain some more fatigue throughout this winter and the spring freeze-thaw cycle. We're also looking at applying 26,000 tons of gravel to roads, mainly down south in around Brainerd. This year, we have all of our gravel roads, 44 miles, on a 5-year cycle that we're addressing and adding gravel to every 5 years. And then we also tie a few roads of the first assessment district in on that also. We plan on doing about 40 miles of in-house shouldering this year. In the past, we've contracted that out. This year, we're going to try it exclusively in-house, and we have some roads yet to be identified. We have some on a wish list, but we're going to wait and see after the snow melts if we have any real bad shoulders that developed over the winter. Then also it helps when the asphalt in the road bed swells, we get a little better visual on where we need to start applying more shouldering material. We also have a ditching plan that we anticipate doing about 1.4 miles of ditching and retention pond cleaning throughout the county. So far right now, we have some work on County Road 125 and County Road 144 to help with drainage. We also plan have some goals set for mowing. That's starting our first cut June 13th and having that wrapped up and completed throughout the entire county by July 1st. And then we'll start our second cut mowing August 1st and have that wrapped up by October 1st. Each of the last 2 years, we've met the first goal and we've gone over about 3 days on the second goal. We also have a list of other goals that we have set throughout the year. These are still in development, some are admin, but overall, just kind of wanted to show you that we do have specific targets and specific goals set for right now that we will start working on and working towards by the end of the year. Some of the projects and goals that we had in 2020 was we sealed 144 miles, including the first assessment district with crack seal. We also spray patched or dur patched about 10,000 gallons. We had 8 different hot mix patches that were applied. We had our snow plowing targets where they fell in. We applied about 124,000 gallons of dust control on our gravel roads, including the first assessment. And we re-graveled a little over 7 miles. We performed a little over 40 miles of brushing road right-of-ways, and a little over 50 miles of shouldering took place with the help of a contractor last summer. We also have bridge inspections And with those inspections comes tasks that our maintenance folks have to complete. And on our list for 2020, we had 84 tasks that maintenance was charged with completing. We got 79 out of the 84 of those completed. We replaced 572 feet of culverts. We performed just a little over a mile of ditching. We also have a requirement with the bridge inspections to wash our bridges every year to get any salt or corrosion out of the expansion joints and clean as much salt off them as we can from the winter. And we do have a guardrail spraying program that we spray the weeds to try to keep them from growing up and through the guardrail and causing any kind of obstruction or holding moisture against those rails, causing them to prematurely sustain moisture or corrosion. We also have a roadway sweeping goal every year that we look to complete by the middle of May. And then everything else that we talked about, and then some admin type stuff. So we track everything that we do each year. And here's just a breakdown of the last 5 years and how we fared with our goals that we had set for priority 1 or target A's for snow plowing, and our target B's. You can see we performed better in 2020 than we did in 2019. But this goal of having a bare wheel path in each direction can be very challenging for the highway department, just based on weather, and then also some of our roads with less traffic and more sheltered that don't get the sunlight to help benefit us, are some of our main reasons for not achieving bare wheel paths in each direction. So again, crack sealing, we did 144 miles as compared to 90 miles in 2019. Spray patching was just a little bit less, but right in the same ballpark. Ditching was down just a little bit. We had about another 1,500 feet we wanted to go, but we got froze out in early November and then snowed out in December, or I'm sorry, November around deer hunting. And we decided just to shut it down for the year because we were starting to struggle with the frozen ground and then all the snow. So just a few other things. We had 17 snow events in 2020 that equated to 5,621 man hours of plowing. We used just about 2,600 tons of salt, just under 300 tons of sand, and 41,000 gallons of brine for a total cost of $781,000, which equates to about $30.05 per household in Crow Wing County. So all the county roads only cost each household $30 to plow and maintain throughout the winter. Of that 57 miles of shouldering we did in 2020, that equated to about 11% of our system. So that's a trend we like to stay on to keep those edges safe. So if someone does go off the edge for whatever reason, they can easily get back on without hooking, without causing damage. We had 33 emergency road callouts in 2020, where we had to call folks in after hours to address trees or snow or ice or bear or cow emergencies on the road. So we really ran the gamut in 2020. We trapped 49 beavers off our system, and we removed 452 deer from the roadways. We also installed 123 mailbox supports and patched about 93.5 tons of cold mix and potholes, which was pretty close to 33,000 shovelfuls on our entire system. We have a goal of addressing all potholes before they get called in, but in 2020 we had 2 calls for potholes. So our team really does a good job of trying to identify and get those potholes patched as quickly as possible before people notice them or feel compelled to call in. But we did get 2. Any questions on any of that? Mike, you've got a question. Oh, I'm sorry. Mike's just joining us. There's no questions on it. The one other thing I wanted to highlight is a partnership we have with the Crow Wing County Soil and Water Conservation District. And a couple of years ago, we just started a plan to reduce the chlorides that we're applying on our roads.
Okay.
It's a delicate balance between,
Yep.
I'm sorry, I see we got a couple of questions. Stan, you got a question?
Yeah, hey, thanks. Are you guys going to shoot out this PowerPoint or synopsis of it to the township clerk so we can have it for our folks?
Yeah, we're actually recording it right now, Stan, and we'll send out a link with the minutes, and that way everybody could view the presentation that we have here tonight. Back again.
Sounds good, Jory. Thank you.
You bet. Lake Edward Township, you had a question?
Yeah, what is the highway department doing about obnoxious weeds on their roads?
We're handling that with mowing operations. And that seems to be addressing it for the most part. We know they're everywhere in our roadway ditches, and you can find almost every noxious weed species there is along some part of our highways. But that's our best preventative maintenance plan that we're using right now.
Do you spray?
Only in certain areas where it's requested and we deemed it necessary.
Okay.
And-
Seems to
and-
be a lot of that purple loose stripe or whatever it's called in the ditches there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I do.
Spurge too. Leafy spurge too.
Yeah, we know that's a growing problem, especially down south around South Long Lake. It really seems to be popping up in that area. And I have been consulting with True Green Lawn Care in Pequot Lakes. He's looked at a few areas for me and given a recommendation of what we should be doing. And in 2 cases last summer, he recommended just to keep mowing and not spray any pesticides on the leafy spurge that was out there in the ditch in a couple areas that he looked at for me. So we have sprayed poison ivy in a couple areas that was creeping up in people's yards where they're real susceptible. And we've gone in and we have sprayed some purple loose strife, but even with spraying it, it comes right back the next year, and we don't seem to have a whole lot of effect other than wilting it for a month or 2, and then it starts to come back.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, I just want to talk a little bit about our chloride reduction plan and then the next step that we partnered with Crowing Soil and Water Conservation District. And they had Bethany Chaplin, who is with Green Corps. It's a program, and I can't explain it as well as she can, but it's putting graduate students in the work areas to do different studies. And one of her projects was looking at our chloride monitoring program and the reduction that we're trying to implement, and then also doing some testing. So when she came on board in August, she started doing some testing and working with a number of lake associations around Crow Wing County. So just an overview of chloride. It is a naturally occurring element. It is a permanent pollutant, and as little as 1 teaspoon of salt can pollute 5 gallons of water. So the MPCA has standards of 230 milligrams. That's a level that's considered chronic pollution, and 860 milligrams, that's acute pollution, that it's going to be very difficult for that lake to be reversed or to be cleaned. Some of the major chloride contributors to our waterways are road salt, water softeners, and then farm and agriculture type fertilizers and manure and dust suppressants. So one of the things that chlorides do to our lakes is they prevent them from mixing. The heavy salts sink to the bottom of the lake, and it negatively affects aquatic life and helps lower the diversity of different species and native species that are sensitive to chloride. You can see there's events in the spring and fall when the water from the bottom rolls up on top and you get that general mixing of nutrients and oxygen. When there's heavy chloride, that takes that effect away and it no longer happens. So the MPCA has been monitoring a number of lakes and streams. Unfortunately, not many in Crow Wing County or outstate of the metropolitan area. You can see a few smatterings here and there, but for the most part, they're really watching the metro area. And the metro area has obviously the highest concentrations of chlorides and salts with the number of people and the number of roadways that are in that area. But what we're trying to do is prevent that and monitor our chloride use to make sure it's the balancing act of providing public safety, but being good stewards of the environment at the same time. And we feel that if we can monitor the lakes and get some data now, that data will help influence our decisions moving forward. And we can also see if we are having any kind of negative effect on the water before it gets to those chronic or acute levels. So this project was started about 2 years ago, and it's been evolving ever since. That Melissa Barrett and I from the Soil and Water Conservation District started talking about developing a plan to monitor our chlorides. She put us in touch with some smart salting classes where all of our drivers are level 1 certified, and Crow Wing County is level 2 certified, just meaning we've had training for applying and have a good knowledge and understanding of what chlorides can do and the proper uses of the chlorides to help prevent overuse and excess water runoff. And then to develop and monitor the chlorides each winter and to know how it's having an effect on our area's lakes and streams. So there's a number of tools that they use for testing the water and down below the surfaces. And what they're doing is using these tools to take a surface level sample and then a sample 1 meter off the deepest part of the lake, because chlorides tend to settle to the lowest parts of bodies of water. And some of the lakes that we're studying right now are Big Trout, Cross, Pelican, Lake Edward, Ross Lake, Rabbit Lake, Rock Lake, Gilbert Lake, Noki Lake, and Upper South Long Lake. And what Bethany and Melissa have done is, when they're working with the lake associations who know the lakes the best, they also take samples or pinpoint areas from the DNR that tell them where the deepest points in the lake are, and that's where they'll sample from. So this is a result of Cross Lake, and they've taken 3 samples, one in September of 2019, another one in June of 2020, and another one in October. And you can see we have relatively no change at the tops or the bottoms of the lake as far as chloride levels. They also looked at Gilbert, just on the north side of Brainerd. And this is our highest chloride sample lake that we have encountered, but it's still well below the thresholds of being chronic or acute. MPCA also would like to have all lakes under 100 milligrams a liter, and we're well below it, even at our highest lake here. And we're looking at different things that could be contributing to the little bit higher levels in this Gilbert Lake compared to others. And we don't know if it's because it's all surrounded and there's no outlet for any chlorides, if it's population density with a lot of water softeners, or if it's road chlorides or a combination. So we're going to start looking at that a little deeper and try to determine what the cause is over the next few years, and then continue to monitor and study to make sure that these levels don't increase dramatically in the upcoming years. Also took a sample of the west side of Rabbit Lake, and as you can see, the samples from the surface and bottom are relatively low, not much change there. Upper South Long Lake, again, is under 4 when we took it in 19 and just a little over 4 when we took another sample again in October of 2020. And what it all means is now we've got some data that we're working off of, and we can continue to plug this data in 3 or 4 times a year when we take the samples. And if there is any big spike or any jump in any of these lakes, we can start looking for causes that may have contributed to it. We can also monitor our salt usage, and we have the technology in our trucks that we can pull up or basically build a box around the watershed area and determine how many tons of salt we applied over a given period of time. And that could possibly help identify if that's a contributing factor or if it's something else. So just some of the things that we can do are just lower our chloride use and have people drive slow, wear the proper footwear, shovel or plow whenever possible before applying materials. And then also in your own homes or businesses, they recommend using less than 4 pounds of salt for every 1,000 square feet, which equates to about 1 pound or a coffee cup full over that square foot, or 250 square feet, I'm sorry. And just a reminder that most salt doesn't work when the pavements get below 15 degrees. So that might be strictly shovel or strictly just plow, unless you have a mag treated or calcium treated salt that will work down to about 0 degrees Fahrenheit. I also wanted to talk about the Isaac Walton League in Minnesota Partnerships. That's where people can test the salt in their own water and do their own monitoring. These are free to the public. You can contact the Crow Wing Soil and Water Conservation Club or Conservation District if you'd like to get a free sample. Again, we are level 1. All of our operators are level 1 certified on roads and parking lots and sidewalks. And then our level 2 certification will be recertified here in 2021, but we did achieve level 2 in 2019, just meaning that we are practicing the best practices for salting with our operations, monitoring, storage, application, and driver training and education. And they have a number of symposiums that have taken place. We got the training in 2018. We hosted at the Highway Department. Some of you may have attended when Connie gave the training. In 2019, they really emphasized on roads, parking lots, and sidewalks. That was hosted by the City of Baxter. And then in 2020, they had some online property management attendees. So what we're hoping for is a road. We'll get back in a rotation in 2021, and we'll be able to get our folks recertified and get a refresher on that, and maybe some cities and townships can jump in on that training and certification also. And we just continue our monitoring with every snow event that takes place in Crow Wing County. We are giving ourselves a report and checking to see how much material we're using, what our plans were, what worked and what didn't work, and what we can do better each time we're out there. So I also wanted to highlight the Lake Association and some of the boat owners that helped us grab this data from a number of the lakes. You can see their names are on the list here, but Whitefish Area Property Owners Association, Gilbert Lake Association, Pelican Lake Association, Lake Edward Conservation Club, and South Long Lake Associations volunteered their boat or pontoon to take Bethany out to grab these samples from these lakes. And it really is fun to see from my vantage point of throwing this out to Melissa, saying, hey, what can we do better? to getting a plan in place to reduce our chlorides, to get something in place to start monitoring. Now we're incorporating some of the lake associations to help us gather and collect this data because they're the ones that know the lake best and they're the most invested. We just want to partner, and we really are happy to see that we have almost a three-headed partnership between Highway Department, Crow Wing Soil and Water, and then also the lake associations to ensure that we've got the best water quality and we're protecting our one of our most valuable assets in the area. And the last part of my spiel is just maintenance commodities. If you're needing culverts, salt, or sand, we want those orders in by the end of March, just because we have to start budgeting and we have to start planning what we need to put up, especially with salt. I've got to place that order in April. So any townships or cities that are wanting to piggyback and get salt from us or on our contract, I need to know, because once I lock in April, that's what we're locked into. And if we have a tough winter, I can't spare what we've locked into real easily. We do put up extra salt and sand, just knowing that, make sure that everybody's covered. But it is nice to know beforehand, just to make sure that we have enough on hand and our sheds are full. Our projects are also in the proposal stages right now. So if you are thinking about piggybacking or partnering with us on any of our contracts, we really need those in by the end of January here, so we can start getting everything together and plugging some numbers in and getting some prices back from our contractors. So is there any questions, or does anybody have any comments? I sped through that pretty quickly. If not, I'll turn it over to you, Rob. Do you want me to keep flipping through, or do you want me to turn control over to you?
Do you know how to turn it over to me? I don't know how to catch it.
No, I probably don't, but I can, if you've got it up, I can stop sharing and you can start sharing yours.
I'll just let you flip through them.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks, Jory. That was good info. So my first slide here was just kind of going to go over our 2021 construction program and what we have planned. And I'll just list them down the slide here as we go. If you see a CSA, a lot of you may not have seen that before. That just stands for County State Aid Highway. It's a county road like a CR county road would be. It just, the CSA roads get funding assistance from the gas tax, basically. So probably our biggest project for 2021 will be reconstructing CSA 13 from near county, or Trunk Highway 371 over to County Road 137, where last year's reconstruction project ended. We're going out for bids in the near future here, and if you're from that area, you've already seen tree work and utility work going on over the winter. CSA 1, this is from Trunk Highway 6 in Emily all the way over to the Aiken County line. We'll be resurfacing that in 2021. CSA 15 is just north of Jenkins. That runs from 371 up to CSA 1. That'll be another resurfacing, and we're doing some bridge improvements on the one bridge on that roadway. And then CSA 24 is southeast of Brainerd. That'll be getting resurfaced from 23 over to 8. CSA 43, that's our one road you can't get to unless you leave the county and come back in. It's way up in Gale Lake Township. That's going to be a joint project with Cass County. It's right on the county line. That'll be a resurfacing. County Road 107, the loop from 371 to 371 up on the Nisswa and Pequot line. Along with resurfacing, we've had a many-year erosion problem where the Wilderness Road intersection is. We're going to be putting in some curb and gutter and removing a driveway to try to mitigate that issue. County Road 109 runs from CSAH 3 over to CSAH 19 in Mission Township will be resurfaced, and County Road 128 over by Riverton will be getting resurfaced in 2021. And we're replacing a bridge on CSAH 23 over the Nokasippi River. There'll be a couple of box culverts going in on that. And then some of our annual projects, doing a 6-inch grooved in pavement marking. That's where we groove the white edge line in the pavement down just a little bit, and then we put a paint in there that's kind of wet reflective. Far better visibility at night in the rain, and when we recess them down that little bit, Jory's snowplows can't peel that line off as quick. So we have an annual pavement marking contract. That's just the typical restriping the white and yellow lines on our roads. We probably average about $130,000 to $140,000 a year on that contract. There's a lot of linear feet out there. And we also do an annual seal coat program where we try to, we're trying to catch up, but our typical process is if we repaved a road, Jory's crews will crack seal it 1 year later and 3 years later, and then in the 4th year, we'll put a seal coat on it. You can go ahead, Jory. Did I lose Jory? It looks like he is frozen on my screen. I will see if I can find this presentation and bring it up. Just bear with me a minute here.
Sorry, Rob, I think I'm back now.
Okay. Let's see. Are you able to share it again? Or do you want me to? I can try to also.
Can you see it?
Yep. Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened here.
Yeah, you froze up, so I don't know what happened, but looks like we're back in business. So this is just a couple maps. The map on the left is basically all those projects I just went through. That's the 2021 program, so you can see a little better where they are in the county. And the map on the right is a page pulled out of we have a 5-year improvement program we update every year. So we're working on that right now. Probably have a new one updated in March. This is the 2020 to 2024. So all the green ones from 2020 were completed last year. And then you can see our plans out through 2024. We do send this out to every township and city. So sometimes I hear back from some folks that they never saw it. So might have got lost in the clerk's email or didn't make it through the email somehow, and we have a few we hard mail out. So if you don't see a new one for 2021 to 2025, I would say by the end of April, feel free to contact us and we'll get it in your hands. Otherwise, it's always on our website also. So Jory had mentioned a little bit with the maintenance contracts and joining together, whether that's for crack sealing or commodities and materials. We also offer that out to the townships and cities for our construction projects that we put out for bid. That's one of the main reasons we send out that 5-year plan, so you can see what year we might be working in your area, and you can maybe take advantage of, the county's doing something that basically intersects one of your roads that you might have been thinking about doing something to. We can join your road right into our contract, bid it all as one big project. We get a little bit of economy of savings there. And on those projects, the county's typically the lead agency putting together the plans, taking bids and entering the contracts. We ask the local agencies to try to inform us by November of the preceding year if they have a project. That way we can at least get eyes on it, hopefully, before snow. And some local agencies kind of hand everything over and ask us, what would you do? And some have a very solid plan and say, we want to add this road and we know we want to put a 2-inch overlay on it. We just want you to put it in your plans and bid it. So we see both ends of the spectrum there. Once we've heard from local agencies, we'll put an estimate together and we have a cost share agreement that we sign. You can see I put in there is a percent charge. So on a typical resurfacing or seal coating project where there's really no in-depth design, it's pretty simple for us to put together. There's a 10% fee added on for contract administration and construction inspection. And that 10% is of your construction costs. So if you had a project, it got bid out, final cost came in at $100,000 for the contractor, the bill you'd see from the county would be $110,000. We fund the project during construction, and then when there's a final payment to the contractor, we figure out the local agency's share, and at that time we'll send you an invoice for reimbursement. In 2020, we had a number of these partner projects. We've been doing them for about 5 years or so. So on resurfacing projects, we had 3 local agencies join in, and they provided about a little over $600,000 worth of improvements on their roads through those projects. On seal coats, we had 7 agencies join the contract for a little over $300,000. And we had 2 agencies join in on our pavement markings. Not a lot of townships have too much for pavement markings, but some do. So it's something to keep in mind. We've had a couple cities join in on that in the past also. Probably the most unique one is a few years ago when Ideal Township had us figure out how to stripe their helicopter landing pad at their fire station. So I give them grief for that one. I think it took me about 20 hours to figure out the FAA rules and how to stripe it, and I think our 10% bill to them was like $35. So they got us on that one. So. And maybe I'll just see, check if anyone has any questions on the 2021 program or some of those cost share opportunities, partner projects. A number of folks have done it numerous years in a row, and there's no good or bad way, in my opinion. Some local agencies would call me and say, when are you bidding such and such a road? I want to find out who your contractor is, and I'm going to call him directly. That's fine. You get out of that 10% fee the county charges. You just, have to do your own contract then with the contractor. Some have a fine program going the way they are all by themselves. That's fine too. It's not a sales pitch. Just want to make you aware that it's a opportunity if you so choose. So. I don't see any questions popping up, so I was going to go over some of the funding and grant opportunities that are out there. First one I listed here is called the State Park Road Account. That's administered by the DNR, and it's for roadways that provide access to a state facility. 9 times out of 10, the ones we've done have been to a DNR public boat landing, but it can be for a state park or any other state facility. Need to get a recommendation letter from the DNR and the county. That's not real difficult. The county supports almost any local agency grant that we're asked to do. And then you just have to keep in mind, once you use state money, then you got to follow some state requirements for geometrics, meeting design speed. If you had some real sharp curves, you'd have to do some grading and shallow those out, lane widths and things like that. And the State Park Road Account typically just pays for construction. The local agency would need to typically get a consultant engineer to put a plan together, and if there would be right-of-way costs involved with it. Some of you may be fortunate enough to have some roads that serve a state facility that, you know, maybe they're straight as an arrow. If there really wouldn't be right-of-way needs, grading needs, you really could apply just to resurface the road. And we've done those types of projects 8 times since 2004. They've all been on city and township roads. There's a website the DNR has that explains all the rules and requirements. The last time I went to look at it a couple weeks ago, it was being a little goofy. I don't know if they fixed that. But every year the applications are due by November. But if you are thinking about doing one, and you'd want to get a consultant on board sooner than later so they can put together a cost estimate for you, and then you could round up those support letters from the county and the DNR. The next one is, it's called the Local Road Improvement Program. So these funds are set up by the state legislature, so it doesn't happen every year. Sometimes it'll go 4 years, you know, a couple bienniums where they just haven't funded it at all. These can be used for local road construction and reconstruction. They're meant for roads maybe with a unique characteristic or special quality that provide a regional benefit. The last ones we did on township roads were, if you're familiar with Englewood and Delwood Drive in Baxter, Englewood runs kind of along the west side of, or Delwood runs along the west side of Menards, comes up to Wise Road, and then Englewood is over on the other side of 371, comes off of Cassaw 77 and goes into Baxter. Those were, the reason we could kind of sell those as regionally significant is they provided relief to the trunk highway system, which is something MnDOT always likes, and MnDOT has a hand in selecting which projects move forward. We also did one that's probably over 10 years ago already. There's a road called Fawn Lake Road south of Cross Lake. One of the reasons that scored well back at the time was 4 local agencies all had maintenance responsibilities for 2 miles of road. By making it a road that conformed to state standards, we got that built through the LRIP program, and when it was done, the county took it over as a county road. Again, that has geometric standards that have to be met. And if you're a township or city, other than Brainerd or Baxter, because they're considered state aid cities, they get part of that gas tax, you have to have the county as a sponsor. Again, that's not difficult. We'd probably just want to talk to you before you put a lot of time into an application to see if we thought it made sense that it would meet that regionally significant criteria. Not a lot of township roads do, but there are some out there that could meet that criteria. And the solicitation is open for these right now, and they close on March 3rd. So along with getting resolutions and support letters, you'd really want to be starting right now if you had a roadway you thought might qualify for that. And if you're interested in that at all, you can get a hold of me, and I can send you the things they look for in an application. Okay, Jory. And there's some miscellaneous grants out there. The DNR has funds for trail and sidewalk types of projects, both motorized and non-motorized. Those don't really go through the county. You can contact the DNR directly on those. There's economic development grants out there. Those are kind of few and far between if you're not in a more urban area, but I wanted to list it just in case you thought you had a unique situation. And then state bonding, that's usually a specialty case, and it's, you know, what they used to call earmarks or pork. You know, you get a local elected official to carry the bag for you and run it up the flagpole. If you can convince them that you have a specialty project that deserves some state bonding or special legislation for that. And then these are my observations from over the years. You can take them or leave them, but free money isn't always free, and that's one thing to keep in mind. A couple of those grants I mentioned earlier, you can get the money for construction, but you want to kind of do some backdoor budgeting and figure out what the engineering and possible right-of-way would be, because those would be costs coming out of your budgets. And then think about if you have a road that you really want to build to these state standards. You know, do you want to clear the whole 66-foot right-of-way? Do you want to build 11-foot lanes and so many feet wide shoulders? Sometimes that's just not needed on all, township, city, and low-volume county roads. If you have worked with a consultant before, they're a good source of info. They put together a lot of grants. They can usually put together the applications for you. What they charge, I don't know, but nobody works for free, I guess. And if you have any questions on, some of these projects, I've had a few people call me the last month or so about that LRIP program, and I don't want to say I talked them out of it, but there were roads that I knew just weren't going to score well against all the other applicants that are coming forward, and I didn't want them to spend money on putting something together. So you can always reach out to us to get our opinion. And then just, I guess, our contacts, since, as Jory told you, this is getting recorded. If anybody requests just a hard copy of the PowerPoint, we can send that to you too, email or however. So I put Jory and myself on there and our contact info. And that's it for my spiel. Guess we'd entertain questions for anything that I talked about or Jory talked about. And then if you're thinking up questions right now, I guess I also mentioned it when we first started. If you've got some topics you're really interested in that you think this would be a good area to bring them forward at our future meeting, we'll have another one in July. Feel free to get a hold of us and we can start lining things up that way. I see Dave has a question. Go ahead, Dave.
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay. Back at the road sweeping, do you do all your roads, just certain highly traveled, just intersections? What do you do? Because we're contemplating questions on that.
Yeah, we do all of our county roads. So we have a contractor that we hire to do all of our curb line pickup with their pickup broom. And then our maintenance staff uses road brooms and sweeps intersections and roads without curb and gutter on them.
Perfect, thank you.
So I don't see any other ones popping up, but if you're like me, you'll think about it 10 minutes after the meeting. So you've got our emails there. You can certainly shoot us a question anytime or give a shout. And one of the things I like doing quite a bit is actually a lot of townships will call me up and we'll go meet on one of their roads someday, take a look at it. Opinions are free and might be overpriced at that, but you'll still get one. So. And we'll send out, probably in June, we'll send out a notice for the July meeting. I have no idea if that'll be like this or in person. We'll see what happens. We've historically held those. We've alternated between our Brainerd shop and our Cross Lake shop. So not everyone has to drive 40 miles, but we will see what the future holds as far as in-person meetings. Anything else to add, Jory?
I don't. Thank you all for attending. This is probably our best attended meeting, so I don't know if this will be the norm from now on, but I hope it was convenient and you were able to get something out of us tonight. And again, like Rob said, if there's something you think of later or have a question, just let us know.
All right, thanks everybody. We will sign off.
Thank you.
Yep.